Hello, ladies and gents. Happy Friday. It is the 10th of February. It's Justin Johnson on the mod DD211, understanding politics, ideas, and institutions in the modern world. I want to influence the youth today. Young teenagers, mature teenagers, young adults, mature adults, OAPs. Come up to the end of your tether, but you want to do something methodical to keep your life going. So why don't you get yourself into further education? Keep your mind active. Keep your mind methodical. Give yourself some compassion to wake up for in the morning. Study is very important. Keeping your mind active. Anyway, we're on the last 2 pages of the book. Chapter 20, Changing the State, Terrorism in Global Politics. We're on the conclusion, last 2 pages of the book. This chapter has given an overview of the phenomenon of terrorism in global politics. It has also alluded to the problems of defining terrorism. While states and international organisations such as the UN offer their own definitions, there remains a lack of agreement over the term and who or what constitutes a terrorist group or act. This is evident when we look at modern terrorism in its historical context. Within the 4 waves model of modern terrorism that we utilised, it is possible to discern a number of groups, most likely the majority, that would not define themselves as terrorist groups. The idea that one man's freedom fighter is another's terrorist may be something of a cliche, but it demonstrates the problem of definition, particularly with the anti-colonial and national liberation groups that were prominent in the 2nd and 3rd waves. The 4th wave provides the way in for the most recent of terrorist phenomenon. The religion-inspired terrorist action, in this case globalisation and the associated rise in networks, was crucial in enabling terrorism to take on the global dimension. This was evidenced by the actions of Al-Qaeda, which utilised the network structure of devastating effect, although the group has been significantly weakened following US-led strikes against it. The network structure allowed its affiliates to remain active in the Middle East and Africa in particular. However, Al-Qaeda's position as leader of the global jihadist movement was challenged and largely dislodged by the rise of the Islamic State group in Syria and Iraq, even with the fall of the latter's main project of caliphate. There are some differences too with the type of terrorist groups outlined in the first 3 waves, and indeed in the early part of the 4th wave. Here, the groups had national focus, or at least a national base, from and within which to operate. Linkages were made across national boundaries, as seen in relationships developed between the IRA and Libya, and the PLO, for example. However, the difference between a group such as the IRA and one like Al-Qaeda, for example, is that the IRA was still working within the confines of the state. By this would mean that it was seeking to challenge the authority of the British state in Northern Ireland. But it was not looking to challenge the very foundations or existence of the British state as we know it, nor was it proposing any fundamental change to the overall structure of international politics. Groups such as Al-Qaeda, on the other hand, seek to replace the entire normative structure of society and challenge a conventional view of the world states. Their reference point is the wider Muslim community with necessities as a global reach. Returning to our core theme of globalisation, then, we can draw some final conclusions about a picture of global terrorism presented in this chapter. The infrastructure that globalisation has created has been highly useful in making terrorism a global issue. New forms of irregular and asymmetric warfare now predominant, in which sub-state and transnational groups fight not only states but each other. Global networks provide the financial, communication and trade routes to the networks that provide the financial, communication and trade routes that enable terrorist groups to survive and at times prosper. What would once have been localized conflicts now become global news instantly, and in some cases act as a recruitment drives, as seen with Islamic states harnessing of social media to reach out to disaffected Muslim populations across the world. States are therefore highly sensitive to the threat posed by terrorism, and now national security is increasingly tied to events beyond their boundaries, with the monopoly on violence no longer the sole preserve of the state. That is the end of the book. 2 books in that 1 year. There you go. Take care. One love. Speak soon.